Chapter 1. The Discovery. Captain Zara Raven wiped the sweat from her brow as she surveyed the desolate landscape before her. The planet, known only as X-317 in the galactic registry, was a barren wasteland of red sand and jagged rock formations. The twin suns above beat down mercilessly, casting long shadows across the alien terrain. Zara checked her wrist-mounted scanner, confirming the energy readings that had brought her to this forsaken corner of the galaxy. "It's close," she muttered to herself, adjusting her grip on her pulse rifle. As she picked her way through the rocky outcropping, Zara's thoughts drifted to the events that had led her here. A former Terran Alliance pilot, she had struck out on her own as a freelance explorer, searching for lost artifacts and forgotten worlds. When she'd intercepted a strange energy signature emanating from X-317, her curiosity had been piqued. Now, as she stood on the surface of the planet, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was on the verge of something big. Suddenly, her scanner let out a shrill beep, indicating that the energy source was directly ahead. Zara quickened her pace, clambering over a series of boulders until she reached a small, circular clearing. In the center of the clearing stood a towering structure, unlike anything Zara had ever seen. It was made of a shimmering, iridescent metal that seemed to shift and change color as she moved around it. The structure was roughly triangular in shape, with intricate patterns and glyphs etched into its surface. Zara approached cautiously, her scanner registering off the charts. As she drew closer, she noticed a small, circular panel on one side of the structure. It was covered in strange symbols, arranged in a complex pattern. Without warning, the symbols began to glow, pulsing with an eerie blue light. Zara stepped back, raising her rifle as a low hum filled the air. The ground beneath her feet began to tremble, and the structure started to emit a blinding white light. Zara shielded her eyes, stumbling backward as the light intensified. Suddenly, a beam of energy shot out from the top of the structure, piercing the sky above and disappearing into the cosmos. As quickly as it had begun, the light faded, and the structure fell silent. Zara lowered her arm, blinking away the spots that danced in her vision. Her scanner was going haywire, registering massive energy spikes and fluctuations. What the hell was that? She wondered aloud, her heart racing. Little did Zara know that the structure's activation had sent a ripple throughout the galaxy, alerting countless alien races to its presence. Some would seek to uncover its secrets, while others would stop at nothing to possess its power. And at the center of it all was Zara Raven, the human explorer who had unwittingly set events in motion that would change the course of galactic history forever. As she stood there, staring up at the ancient alien artifact, Zara knew one thing for certain. Her life would never be the same again. Chapter 2. The First Encounter. Zara's mind raced as she tried to make sense of what had just happened. The alien structure loomed before her, silent and enigmatic, giving no indication of its true purpose. She took a deep breath, trying to calm her nerves, and stepped forward to examine the panel more closely. As she ran her fingers over the strange symbols, a sudden movement caught her eye. Zara whirled around, raising her pulse rifle, and found herself face to face with a creature unlike any she had ever seen. It was tall and slender, with mottled green skin and large almond-shaped eyes that glowed a deep amber. The creature wore a form-fitting suit of some kind, adorned with intricate patterns and symbols similar to those on the structure. For a moment, the two stood perfectly still, sizing each other up. Then, the creature raised its long-fingered hand in what appeared to be a gesture of peace. "Greetings," it said, its voice a melodic trill. "I am Zorax of the Galactic Council. I mean you no harm." Zara lowered her rifle slightly, but kept it at the ready. "I'm Captain Zara Raven," she replied, her voice steady. "What do you want?" Zorax tilted its head, studying her with those glowing eyes. I am here for the same reason you are, Captain Raven, to uncover the secrets of this ancient artifact. Zara's eyes narrowed. How do you know about it? The Galactic Council has been monitoring this sector for signs of the artifact's activation, Zylox explained. When the signal went out, I was dispatched to investigate. Zara considered this for a moment. She had heard of the Galactic Council, a loose confederation of alien races that worked to maintain peace and stability throughout the known universe. If Zylox was telling the truth, it meant that the artifact was even more significant than she had realized. "What is this thing?" she asked, gesturing to the structure behind her. Zylox stepped forward, examining the artifact with a reverent expression. It is a remnant of an ancient civilization, long since vanished from the galaxy. Legend has it that they possessed knowledge and technology far beyond anything we can imagine. Zara's heart raced at the thought. If the stories were true, the artifact could be the key to unlocking secrets that had been lost for millennia. Suddenly, a deep, rumbling sound filled the air, and the ground began to shake beneath their feet. Zara and Zylox looked up, their eyes widening in shock as a massive spacecraft descended from the sky above. It was unlike anything Zara had ever seen, a sleek, black vessel that seemed to absorb the light around it. As it touched down on the surface of the planet, a hatch opened on its side, and a group of heavily armed aliens emerged. Zylox's face paled. "Zorax," it whispered, its voice filled with dread. Zara didn't need to ask who the Zorax were. She had heard stories of their ruthlessness, their hunger for power and conquest. If they were here for the artifact, it could only mean one thing: trouble. As the Zorax soldiers approached, their weapons trained on Zara and Zylox, she knew that she had stumbled into something far bigger than she had ever imagined. The race for the artifact's secrets had begun, and the fate of the galaxy hung in the balance. Chapter 3. The Zorax Threat. Zara and Zylox stood back to back, their weapons raised as the Zorax soldiers surrounded them. The leader of the group, a tall, muscular alien with a scarred face and piercing red eyes, stepped forward. "Stand down," he growled, his voice low and menacing. "The artifact belongs to the Zorax Dominion now." Zara's grip tightened on her pulse rifle. "I don't think so," she replied, her voice calm and steady. "We got here first." The Zorax leader laughed, a harsh, grating sound that sent shivers down Zara's spine. "You have no idea what you're dealing with, human," he spat. "The Zorax have been searching for this artifact for centuries. We will not let it slip through our grasp now." Zylox spoke up, its voice filled with a quiet determination. "The artifact's secrets belong to all of us," it said. "The Galactic Council will not allow the Zorax to claim it for themselves." The Zorax leader's eyes narrowed. "The Galactic Council is weak," he sneered. "They lack the strength to do what must be done. The Zorax, on the other hand, have the power to unlock the artifact's true potential." Zara's mind raced as she tried to find a way out of the situation. She knew that she and Zylox were outmatched and outgunned, but she refused to let the Zorax take the artifact without a fight. Suddenly, an idea formed in her mind. She glanced at Zylox, hoping that the alien had come to the same conclusion. "Now!" she shouted, diving to the side as Zylox fired its weapon at the nearest Zorax soldier. The soldier fell, and chaos erupted as the remaining Zorax opened fire. Zara rolled behind a nearby boulder, using it as cover as she fired back at the advancing soldiers. Zylox joined her, its own weapon blazing as it took down another Zorax. "We need to get to the artifact," it said, its voice strained. "If we can activate it, we may be able to use its power to escape." Zara nodded, her heart pounding in her chest. She knew that activating the artifact was a risky move, but it was their only chance. Together they made a break for the structure, dodging laser blasts and returning fire as they ran. As they reached the base of the artifact, Zara slammed her hand against the panel, hoping against hope that it would respond. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, the symbols on the panel began to glow once more, and the artifact hummed to life. A beam of energy shot out from the top of the structure, enveloping Zara and Zylox in a blinding white light. When the light faded, they found themselves inside a strange, cavernous chamber filled with pulsing energy and glowing symbols. In the center of the room stood a towering pillar of light, stretching up into the darkness above. Zara and Zylox looked at each other, their eyes wide with wonder and disbelief. They had done it. They had activated the artifact and unlocked its secrets. But their triumph was short-lived. As they stood there, marveling at their surroundings, a deep, rumbling sound filled the chamber. The pillar of light began to pulse faster and faster, and the symbols on the walls started to spin and change. Zara's heart sank as she realized what was happening. The artifact was not just a repository of knowledge, but a weapon of unimaginable power. And by activating it, they had unleashed forces that they could not hope to control. As the chamber shook and the light grew brighter, Zara knew that they had to find a way to stop it before it was too late. The fate of the galaxy depended on it. Chapter 4. The Ancient Knowledge. Zara and Zylox raced through the winding corridors of the artifact, their footsteps echoing off the metallic walls. The pulsing light from the central chamber grew brighter with each passing moment, casting eerie shadows across their faces. "We need to find a way to shut it down," Zara shouted over the rising hum of energy. "If we don't, it could destroy everything." Zylox nodded, its eyes scanning the symbols etched into the walls. "There must be a control room somewhere," it said, "a place where we can access the artifact's systems and stop the energy buildup." They rounded a corner and found themselves in a vast circular room filled with ancient technology unlike anything Zara had ever seen. In the center of the room stood a massive holographic display showing a swirling galaxy filled with countless stars and planets. Zara approached the display, her eyes wide with wonder. "This must be a map of the known universe," she breathed. "But look, there are regions here that I've never seen before." Zylox joined her, its long fingers tracing the edges of the hologram. The ancient civilization that built this artifact must have explored far beyond the boundaries of our current understanding, it said. This knowledge could revolutionize our understanding of the cosmos. Suddenly, the display shifted, and a new image appeared. A planet, unlike any Zara had ever seen. It was a swirling mass of colors, with towering crystal spires rising from its surface. "That must be their homeworld," Zara said, her voice hushed with awe. "The place where they developed this incredible technology." As they watched, the image zoomed in, revealing a sprawling city filled with advanced structures and vehicles. Zara's heart raced as she realized the implications of what they were seeing. But before they could explore further, the room shook violently, and the light from the central chamber flared brighter than ever. Zara and Zylox were thrown off their feet, struggling to maintain their balance as the artifact shuddered around them. "We're running out of time!" Zylox shouted, scrambling to its feet. "We need to find that control room now!" They raced out of the chamber, following the pulsing light and the growing hum of energy. As they ran, Zara's mind raced with the possibilities of what they had discovered. If they could find a way to harness the artifact's power, they could unlock secrets that had been hidden for millennia. But first, they had to survive. They reached the end of a long corridor and found themselves face to face with a massive door, covered in intricate symbols and glowing with an otherworldly light. Zara stepped forward, her hand hovering over the control panel. "This is it," she said, her voice trembling with a mixture of fear and excitement. "The control room." She pressed her hand against the panel and the door slid open with a hiss. Inside, they found a room filled with glowing consoles and screens, each one displaying a different aspect of the artifact's systems. Zylox raced to the nearest console, its fingers flying over the controls. "I think I can shut down the energy buildup," it said. its voice strained with concentration. "But I need time." Zara nodded, her grip tightening on her pulse rifle. "I'll hold off the Zorax," she said, turning to face the door. "Do what you need to do." As Zylox worked frantically to shut down the artifact systems, Zara took up position by the door, her weapon at the ready. She knew that the Zorax would not give up easily, and that they would stop at nothing to claim the artifact's power for themselves. But she also knew that she had a chance to make a difference, to use the knowledge they had uncovered to change the course of galactic history. And as the sound of approaching footsteps grew louder, she steeled herself for the fight to come. Chapter 5. The Zorax Onslaught. The sound of laser fire filled the air as the Zorax soldiers stormed the control room, their weapons blazing. Zara ducked behind a console, returning fire with her pulse rifle as the room erupted into chaos. "Zylox!" she shouted over the din of battle. "How much longer?" The alien's fingers flew over the controls, its face a mask of concentration. "Almost there," it replied, its voice strained. "Just a few more moments." Zara gritted her teeth and leaned out from behind the console, taking aim at the nearest Zorax soldier. The alien went down in a blaze of energy, but two more took its place, their weapons trained on Zara's position. She dropped back behind cover, her heart pounding in her chest. They were outnumbered and outgunned, and the Zorax seemed to have an endless supply of soldiers. If Zylox couldn't shut down the artifact's systems in time, they were all doomed. Suddenly, a searing pain tore through Zara's shoulder, and she cried out in agony. A Zorax laser had found its mark, burning through her armor and searing the flesh beneath. She gritted her teeth and pushed through the pain, firing blindly over the top of the console. She couldn't give up now, not when they were so close. Just then, a triumphant shout came from Zylox's direction. "I've got it!" the alien cried. "The systems are shutting down!" Zara risked a glance over her shoulder and saw that the pulsing light from the central chamber had faded, replaced by a soft, steady glow. The hum of energy that had filled the artifact was gone, replaced by an eerie silence. The Zorax soldiers seemed to sense the change as well. They hesitated, their weapons lowering slightly as they looked around in confusion. Zara seized the moment of distraction and leaped out from behind the console, firing her pulse rifle with renewed determination. The Zorax soldiers fell one by one, their bodies crumpling to the ground in heaps of charred flesh and twisted metal. Finally, the last soldier fell, and the control room was silent once more. Zara lowered her weapon, her breath coming in ragged gasps as she surveyed the carnage around her. Zylox emerged from behind a console, its face a mask of exhaustion and relief. "We did it," it said, its voice trembling slightly. "The artifact's power has been contained." Zara nodded, wincing as the movement sent a fresh wave of pain through her injured shoulder. "But at what cost?" she asked, her voice heavy with emotion. "The Zorax will not forget this defeat easily." Zylox's expression turned grim. "You are right," it said. "They will come for us again, and they will not rest until they have claimed the artifact for themselves." Zara's mind raced as she considered their options. They had the knowledge and technology of the ancient civilization at their fingertips, but they also had a powerful enemy that would stop at nothing to take it from them. She thought of the map they had seen in the holographic display, the countless worlds and civilizations that lay beyond the boundaries of their current understanding. If they could find a way to use the artifact's power for good, they could change the course of galactic history forever. But first, they had to find a way to keep it out of the wrong hands. Zara turned to Zylox, her eyes blazing with determination. "We need to get this information to the Galactic Council," she said. "They're the only ones who can protect it and ensure that it's used for the benefit of all." Zylox nodded, its own expression mirroring Zara's resolve. Agreed, it said. But we must hurry. The Zorax will not be far behind. Together, they made their way out of the control room and back through the winding corridors of the artifact, their minds racing with the possibilities of what lay ahead. They had uncovered a secret that could change the galaxy forever, but they knew that the fight to protect it had only just begun. Chapter 6. The Final Decision. Zara and Zylox raced through the desolate landscape of X-317, their hearts pounding in their chests as they made their way back to Zara's ship. The Zorax would not be far behind, and they knew that they had to put as much distance between themselves and the artifact as possible. As they reached the ship, Zara's mind was reeling with the weight of the decision that lay before them. The knowledge and technology contained within the artifact could change the course of galactic history, but it could also be used for terrible destruction in the wrong hands. She thought of the countless lives that had been lost in the wars and conflicts that had plagued the galaxy for generations. If they could find a way to use the artifact's power to bring an end to that suffering, it would be worth any risk. But she also knew that the temptation to abuse that power would be too great for many. The Zorax were just one of countless factions that would stop at nothing to claim the artifact for themselves, and the cycle of violence and destruction would only continue. As they boarded the ship and prepared for takeoff, Zylox turned to Zara, its eyes filled with a deep sadness. "I fear that we may have unleashed something that we cannot control," it said, its voice heavy with emotion. "The knowledge contained within the artifact is too powerful for any one species to possess." Zara nodded, her own heart heavy with the weight of the decision that lay before them. "We have to find a way to keep it safe," she said, her voice firm with resolve. "We can't let it fall into the wrong hands." As the ship lifted off from the planet's surface and streaked towards the stars, Zara's mind raced with the possibilities of what lay ahead. They had to get the information to the Galactic Council, but even that was no guarantee of safety. She thought of the map they had seen in the artifact's control room, the countless worlds and civilizations that lay beyond the boundaries of their current understanding. If they could find a way to use the artifact's power to bring those worlds together, to create a new era of peace and understanding, it would be worth any sacrifice. But as they flew through the endless expanse of space, Zara knew that the decision was not an easy one. The artifact's power was too great to be entrusted to any one species or faction, and the risk of it falling into the wrong hands was too high. In the end, she knew what had to be done. With a heavy heart, Zara turned to Zylox and explained her plan. They would take the artifact to a remote, uninhabited corner of the galaxy, far from the reach of any civilization. There, they would destroy it, ensuring that its power could never be used for evil. Zylox's eyes widened in surprise, but as Zara explained her reasoning, it nodded in understanding. "You are right," it said, its voice filled with a quiet determination. "The artifact's power is too great for any one species to possess. We must ensure that it can never be used to cause harm." And so, with heavy hearts and a sense of grim determination, Zara and Zylox set course for the farthest reaches of the galaxy. They knew that they were sacrificing the chance to unlock the secrets of the universe, but they also knew that it was the only way to ensure that those secrets would never be used for evil. As they watched the artifact crumble to dust in the depths of space, Zara felt a sense of bittersweet triumph. They had succeeded in keeping the artifact's power out of the wrong hands, but they had also lost the chance to use that power for good. But as she looked out at the endless expanse of stars and planets that lay before them, she knew that their journey was far from over. There were still countless mysteries to uncover and civilizations to explore, and she knew that the spirit of discovery and the thirst for knowledge that had driven them to the artifact in the first place would continue to guide them in the years to come. And so, with a sense of hope and determination, Zara and Zylox set off into the unknown, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. They had sacrificed much, but they knew that the future of the galaxy was in their hands, and they were ready to fight for it, no matter the cost.